If your sole purpose in life is to incriminate yourself, then surely this is the way to do it. A group of youths from Birmingham posed with machetes and zombie knives in the stairwell of flats where elderly and vulnerable people and people with disabilities lived. Of course, these kids are all teenagers, so they are underage, and we don't know their names. But the Metro have learned that the group or gangs or mates, whatever the hell you want to call the collective, were shown holding bladed weapons inside a Birmingham housing block. Again, for elderly people, for people with disabilities and vulnerable people. You can tell that these people are literally children from the fact that they actually posted these images on social media sites. The first thought that comes into my head is, how do people forget that there are no less than 1 million people trawling through images a day, trying to get dirt on people or expose people just for fun? So why the hell would you post this kind of crap on Instagram or Facebook? Despite the fact that the youths concealed their faces with their hands or masks or scarves, people will still be able to identify them. This is what people live for. There's people out there that actually get a thrill out of playing detective. Now apparently this notorious gang is operating in the Bakerman house in Yardley, Birmingham. Now in all seriousness, these are some naughty ass kids. The Metro reported that a machete was thrown at a police officer as they attempted to approach some of the youths before they confiscated, and I quote, 3 very nasty weapons. In the midst of all the fiasco in Yardley, police also detained 5 teenagers, the youngest one being just 13 years old, which means his mum or dad had to come down to the police station in order for the kid to be questioned. Now can you imagine what their parent would be thinking the moment they find out that their child has been posing with their mates with machetes in a residential block of flats filled with vulnerable and elderly people? That's pocket money immediately stopped. According to the witnesses, these teenagers were shown to be terrorising families that included young children and again elderly people, a lot of which included wheelchair users. Some of their scare tactics included intimidation, Asbel-type behaviour like shouting and swearing and waving these stupid weapons. Again, this is sheltered accommodation, which means the residents living here have a range of complex issues, age-related issues, disabilities or other vulnerabilities. Therefore, there's no cool points for trying to intimidate a person like that. If that was my kid, they would get punched in the face and then I'd make them go back to the complex and apologise to every single person in that apartment for being a knob. For a moment, just think. Imagine if that was your dad or your granddad in that position, being afraid to leave their own apartment due to some pre-teens. Essentially, these people are prisoners in their own homes. Everyone needs to be held accountable for their actions. Anyway, the kids who were arrested would have all told on each other by now, so that's all the criminal enterprise disbanded. Safe.